Well, we spoke earlier with Andrew Giles talking about some of the changes the government is proposing to higher education if they win the next election, including ensuring fee-free TAFE would be in legislation and would continue and become an annual thing. So I'm curious to know, skills shortages, are you feeling them where you work? Give me a call, 1300 222 774. We often talk about the shortages on this program, teachers, nurses, builders. So how does your industry cope with the shortage of skills and what is it doing to address them? Jon Gorgioski is the Director and Principal Consultant at Alpha Resumes. Jon Gorgioski, welcome back.
Hi, Ali. Great to be back as always.
Do you have a sense of which industries right now are suffering the worst skill shortages?
For sure. I think certainly some of the industries that you called out are the big ones. What I'm seeing is construction is right up there with shortages, definitely healthcare and the social space when we look at roles like social workers, counsellors, nurses and that sphere. The education and training space, also another big one. IT, particularly specialised areas like cybersecurity and development roles and certain roles in engineering as well. What the big shift I've seen is there's a lesser skill shortage in more professional roles where we require a degree level qualification, but a lot of roles that have a more vocational type background or lower certificate level education requirements, that's where we're starting to see big shortages and they're continuing to creep up over the last 12 months or so as well.
So how do most workplaces respond to that?
It can be an interesting one because I guess when workplaces require staff, they tend to put job ads out there. We're trying to look for new people and that's all great. But when they're lots of organisations looking for a small group of people out there and there's just not much talent about, that can lead to, trying to pay staff more or trying to showcase ourselves a little bit differently in terms of some of the perks or incentives. Or when it comes to government, sometimes even introducing, I guess, incentives for people to work in particular industries, whether that's training, whether that's sign-up bonuses, these types of things. But it can be really tough because when we're short-staffed, a lot of people are working overtime. That can lead to burnout, can lead to job dissatisfaction, can lead to even more people leaving an industry, and it can start to become a pretty vicious cycle out there.
How easy is it to, I hate this term, upskill, but I don't know, a better one, improve the skills of, within a business? I mean, is that one of the answers for many businesses, that they simply use the workers they've got but provide the training to go with it? Is that viable?
Certain organisations and industries, definitely. And I think upskilling of workforces and teams now more than ever is vital with technology disruptions and constant changes happening in a workforce. But again, when we're upskilling people, it's taking them off their jobs, taking them off providing the care they need. And if we're working in something like healthcare, where there's that constant demand there, sometimes it's easier said than done. And then with staff, there can be a bit of resistance too. Some people love learning and development. For others, the idea of picking up new skills or moving out of their comfort zone can be a bit scary as well. So it's kind of that double-edged sword where it can be hard to find the time to train people or the resources to be able to do it and still keep running business. And this can lead to burnout of staff, and it can lead to things like inflationary pressures as well. And again, it just starts to become very, very difficult.
What about from the employee's point of view? If you're offered that sort of extra skills training, is it a good thing to take it?
I'd say in most instances, from an employee perspective, absolutely pick up those skills. Likely that's going to help future-proof your employment where you're working or perhaps in other areas. And again, if we're doing more, if we've got more skills, it makes us more employable and keeps us more resilient as well at times where change is happening. And I think technology as an example, we hear a lot about AI and a lot of things that are happening out there. If employees are able to embrace change and acquire new skills, all of a sudden we're adding more value, we're providing more productivity to an organisation, and this all helps, long as it's not to the point where we're doing so much that we become really burnt out and then we start looking for employment in different spheres. And I do see that happen a lot with certain industries, particularly where staff can be asked to do more and more training, and then their role remit becomes more and more and more, and that can be exhausting for a lot of people as well, Ali.
Yes, and I guess that there is a flip side to that. That can be exhausting for people, but there's also the risk that if you do provide your staff or the employee with extra training, they then become a far more valuable proposition maybe for a competitor.
Absolutely, and it's expensive to train staff quite often, and we want to know that if we're investing in our staff and paying for training, some of it can be quite exhausting, that they are going to stay there. Some organisations have policies around training where, we'll pay for this course if you stay on for a 12-month period, otherwise you may be required to reimburse it. That can be a bit risky there because it makes staff sometimes not want to do things. But again, definitely, if someone's picked up new skills, you're in a really in-demand industry, and let's take, the IT tech space there, then all of a sudden we've got a whiz-bang degree, we've got some practical experience, then it can be very much that an employees market where they go off, and employers can sometimes be less willing to invest.
Jon, thank you for giving us a little bit of an insight into some of the challenges. Appreciate your time.
No, of course, Ali, always a pleasure.
Jon Gorgioski, their Director and Principal Consultant at Alpha Resumes. Coming up after the news, if you live near Marlow, which is...